So please, please, please take some time, click on that link that I put in the chat for everyone and fill out those basic information. If you don't have your LinkedIn or you don't know your LinkedIn profile, that is okay. You can skip that part.
And as people are doing that, this just a reminder, this session is going to be recorded and it will be sent out. So just keep that in mind. You should get that recording tomorrow, and attached to that recording is a questionnaire. So that's for WGU. We value our student and alumni feedback. Should take you no more than 2 minutes to fill out that questionnaire. And so that'll be attached to the recording and you should get that tomorrow. Before we jump in here, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is RJ Panesi. I work in our career and professional development office here at WGU. For those of us that are joining, if this is your first event for the month of Career Quest, thank you for jumping in and joining. If those of you, maybe you jumped into some other sessions so far this month, hopefully those sessions went well, you found value in them. We're looking to provide, our students and alumni opportunities to, one, learn about new organizations, connect with organizations that are providing great job opportunities for our populations, and also some professional development. So I know that's one thing. We have a great relationship here at WGU with Rocket, and we appreciate the sessions that they've put on for us previously, and we want to continue that. So we were thrilled that you all were willing to jump in here, Eric, and do a session with us from here if you want. If you want to share screen, but as people jump in, they will be able to take themselves off mute.
Let's see if we'll be able to share this. Can someone in the chat let me know once I share this screen that everybody can see it? Let's see here.
Yes.
You can? All right. I just lost you guys, so let me see if I can get you back now on my screen.
I can monitor that for you, Eric.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. So for this presentation, just so everybody knows, I'm a little bit of a different presenter, right? So we're going to have a little bit of fun today. And what I mean by that is there's going to be some times that I'm going to be asking for some participation. You're going to see me kind of looking off into another screen because I do have two monitors, so don't mind that component. But I want us to be able to ask some questions, have a little bit of fun. We're going to learn a little bit about, obviously, Rocket Companies. I'm going to see what you guys already know about the organization. And then we're also going to learn a little bit about personal brand and what that actually means, right? So give it just a few more minutes. I know I added some information to the chat, and I want to see if I can pull that information back up really quickly for everybody. For those that just joined. One second. Everybody can still see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Because I can't see half of you right now. So I'm going to do this blind a little bit, and that's okay. So let's dive in and get started a little bit here, okay? So once again, I'm Eric Jones, representing Rocket Companies and the brands that come with that organization. Like I mentioned, there's going to be some time to come off mute, add a few answers and some things like that. And that way, I hope that we all get the most out of this presentation today. So what we're going to be talking about is obviously launching a career, but the keys and pathways to getting that accomplished, right? So what I want to do is dive in. So once again, Eric Jones, been with the organization now going on really 18 years, been 17 just here in November. Had an opportunity to do a lot of different things within this space. And I'm happy to be able to join and talk to you guys a little about our organization, and then how to brand yourself. But before we dive into how to brand yourself as an individual, I'm going to show you guys how we brand ourselves as an organization, right? So you can kind of get and see a business perspective, and then how that business perspective will then also tie into your personal brand as well. Okay. And hopefully this video will play. I'm going to need some thumbs up or somebody to come off mute for me and let me know this video plays here in just 2 seconds. And make sure that you guys can hear it too as well. Can you guys hear the video?
No audio.
No audio for the
No
video.
audio.
All right. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to skip the video. There's another video. I'm going to basically tell you what this video talks about. So it talks about obviously Rocket Companies as an organization. It talks about who we are, some of the locations that we have, and it's kind of displayed here on the screen too as well, as you guys can see it. So as far as our organization, we are a online or internet driven based company. And what I mean by that is a lot of our platforms are designed to be used through the internet, your cell phone, a tablet, your computer, all those great options or technology options that are out there. As far as offices and physical brick and mortars that we have as a company, we have a headquarters that's in Detroit, Michigan. We have an office that's in Cleveland, Ohio. And we also have another office in Phoenix, Arizona. Now we have 2 other locations as well, one being Charlotte, North Carolina, and then we have some business and some opportunities that we have over in Canada, right? But if you were to look at from a size standpoint, as far as those organizations and locations, that Detroit hub, that's actually the office that I work out of, is the one that probably has close to about anywhere from 8 to 10,000 team members there. And then we have an office in Cleveland, which would probably come in a close second or third there with that Arizona location. Those 2 locations still actually go by one of the names that you guys have probably heard of as Rocket Mortgage, right? So Rocket Companies is that brand name that's in the city of Detroit. Rocket Mortgage is the brand name that's in our Cleveland location, as well as our Phoenix office out in Arizona. Now, our office that's in Charlotte is more of a servicing based location for us, right? So when you think about what Rocket Mortgage actually does, and that's helping clients with home ownership, it's actually servicing those loans and doing a lot of things within that field and realm as well. And then our office in Canada is very much technology driven, right? Which makes sense. So when you think about us just as an organization, we moved downtown Detroit, Michigan, would have been close to about 15 years ago. I was part of that move. And when we made that move down to the city of Detroit, it was a little bit of a culture shock, right? I don't know if the city was ready for us, and I don't know if we were ready for the city. And what I mean by that, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll even say 3:30, it was a ghost town in the city of Detroit. Now it's flourishing, right? And it's flourishing with all of our team members and all of those RKT or Rocket Companies based organizations. Okay. So let's dive into what Rocket Companies or RKT actually even means. So when you think about RKT, you look at these organizations here on the screen, all the organizations that you see are financial services related, right? So you look at home financing, home sale, auto and personal loans. We have a media section, right? That core digital and lower my bills. And then you have that client service and technology solutions based arm of our business too as well. I'm going to show you guys all something kind of cool. You guys can all see me on the screen, correct?
Yes.
RJ, I might need you a little bit of help
Yeah.
there too as well.
Yes.
Fantastic, right? So you see what I'm pointing to, this logo right here? So if you look at that logo, what does that logo look like to a bunch of to you individually, right? And feel free to take yourself off mute too as well. And feel free to just blurt out answers.
First one is a magnet in the chat.
Magnet. Okay.
Looks like a C that rolled over on its side.
Anything else other than a magnet, it looks like to everyone.
A C rolled over on its side.
It does. It sure does. Yeah.
A keyhole.
A keyhole. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a different perspective. Move away from your computer or your phone or however you're chiming in today, right? What if I told you that if you look around the halo portion, it's actually like a head, and where the opening is kind of like shoulders there. Does anybody see that?
Now I do.
Right. So it looks like a person, right? So if you look at it, and I got my cursor on it too, it's a head, and then you see the shoulders coming through. The reason that it looks like that is because think about all of these financial based activities or things that Rocket can help you with. They all pertain to you, the user. So Rocket Companies is a B, which is business, C to consumer based organization, right? So let's say you're looking for a home mortgage. You're going to call Rocket Mortgage, right? Let's say you're looking to budget your money, right? How many of you have heard of Rocket Money? Hopefully, a few of you out there, right? Rocket Money for us is our budgeting platform, right? I call it the center of influence, meaning Rocket Money can align you to every single one of these RKT or all 16 of these RKT based organizations, right? It will alert you like, hey, you're looking to save for a home? Bing. Rocket Mortgage is ready for you, right? So it gives you that opportunity to go in, create a budget, fight bills for you. It has the opportunity to give you a free credit report. It has a lot of financial tools letting you know where your money's spent, how and different ways to save money. So it's really a unique tool that ties with all of our other family of organizations, right? There are some other organizations that are not on this that don't necessarily fall underneath RKT. And let me cover that really quick. So when you think about RKT, RKT is actually our publicly traded name, right? So Rocket Companies, RKT being the initials, is how we are traded, right? We went public smack dab in the middle of a pandemic. What organization does that, right? We did. Partly it worked for us because we are an internet driven based organization. So there was one thing that didn't sleep during that time frame. It's the internet, right? So when you think about the internet never sleeping, and most of us either having a tablet, a cell phone, or a computer that we were using in that 2020 timeframe when we were all walking around with masks on, it worked perfect for our business model and our platform, right? Outside of these RKT based organizations, there's some other companies that you may have heard of. For any sports fans out there, who's heard of maybe the Cleveland Cavaliers? And if you have, guess what? The Cleveland Cavaliers is an organization that we actually own. Our owner, Dane Gilbert, actually owns that entity and everything that happens in Cleveland at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. For those shoe enthusiasts out there or buyers and sellers of goods, right? There's another organization called StockX that we actually own, right? And then for those of you, and I'm sure that you all have written a paper in any way, shape, or form, dictionarythesaurus.com are two other affiliates that fall underneath Dane Gilbert's portfolio when you're thinking about just organizations. I'm telling you all this to tell you that our organization is large and we're in a lot of different industries. So if we focus just on RKT and we're talking about the brand, right? And I purposely showed you this right here on purpose. This is our brand. We're trying to get this as familiar to most people as that Nike swoosh, right? Everybody, you don't even have to see the word Nike. As long as you see the swoosh, you know exactly who that is, right? And that's kind of where we're looking to be as far as an organization, really a one-stop shop, okay? Any questions on RKT in the organizations that fall underneath that those 16 organizations that fall underneath that Rocket Company's naming? Perfect. I'll take that silence as everybody's good on the same page. So when you think about, and we talked about this a little bit, if you don't have this, this is something that you definitely want to have as far as your arsenal when it comes to financial services and budgeting is this Rocket Money based application. And it works on everything from tablets to Android to Apple based products. So when you think about awards for our organization, right, there's a ton of accolades that we've got. And I'm not going to read these to you. I think you guys can see that screen and kind of sift through and summarize some of those. But I will tell you, none of these particular awards or accolades that you see here on the screen are possible if we don't have the right people in place to make them happen. Right. So when you think about how our organization is really defined, it's defined by its people. Right. We recently just got an award. I believe it was for 2023, the number one place to work for as far as diversity. Now that's a huge honor, right? And I'll say that I was part of that, and I know I have some of my counterparts in here as well. But that's an HR component. We are the direct drivers as far as talent coming into the organization, what talent gets in front of our hiring leaders, and how we're able to make a difference and add to our culture. Right. So this is something, and these accolades are something that we're all very, very proud of. But remember, these things aren't possible without having the right people in place. When you think about the right people in place, there's some fundamental statements that we have. Most organizations have what you call philosophies or a mission statement. We have actually 20 statements that still tie back into our brand. And this is one of the biggest components of our brand. We call it our special sauce. And it's our isms. Some individuals call them our ISMs, right? There's actually 20 of these statements, and I'm going to show them to you. We're going to skip the video because you can't hear it. These 10 on this screen and there's 10 on the next screen are our livelihood. This is our lifeblood when you're thinking about our culture that helps leaders and our team members make decisions. They're very, very simplistic, right? Everything you're going to hear about today is very, very simplistic and will help you as far as branding yourself. And these are things that help brand our organization from a business standpoint. So I'll pick a few of them. One of them here, hopefully you can see my cursor. It's called Ignore the Noise. It has arrows pointing down to it, and it looks like a person has earphones on, right? This is one of my favorite isms or cultural statements because we walk around in a society that there's a lot of noise, right? You're getting external noise from family, friends, coworkers, teammates, you name it, that are telling you, hey, you should be doing this, or you should be doing this. And then it's those internal voices too as well. Sometimes you have to kind of like take a step back and really do exactly what that ism says and ignore the noise and know that you're moving in the right direction in order to achieve the goal that you have set for yourself. And hopefully for a lot of you, that's finding either an internship, that's finding either a full-time based career with an organization where you can come in and start to build a foundation for your growth and your upward mobility, right? If we scroll and look at the other ones that are here too as well, every second counts. We'll figure it out. We are the they, right? Do the right thing. If you hear a lot of these isms that I'm talking about and our cultural beliefs, they are very, very simplistic, right? I'm very old school, right? So when you think about do the right thing, that's like do to others as you would want them to do to you, right? That's an important one for our organization because we always try our best to put one, our team members and our clients first. And I said it in that order, and I said it in that order for a reason. If our team members from an organization, from a brand, are being taken care of, then of course they're going to do what's right by our clients and they're going to do their best to take care of those clients as well. Right? That's one thing that I believe very, very strongly. And with me being here for so long, it's proven. I'll give you an example. So you think about the pandemic, right? 2020, we all went home, right? And you know, when you're in the office or in an office setting, there's certain amenities that you have, right? You got two computers, we have sit to stands desks in our office spaces. We all got questionnaires asking us, do we want our sit to stand desk? Did you need a new computer? Did you need new monitors? And that's the organization really taking care of its team members, making sure that they have every resource as though they were in the office to be successful. We were so successful in going home and having that ability to have a little bit of freedom and that autonomy and taking on new responsibilities that fall into our lives on a day-to-day basis. We're still in a hybrid model, right? So when you think about our organization, depending on what business area you're a part of, you're going to have that opportunity to work from home a few days, right? Some of our business areas come in a little bit more than others. It really just depends on what your role is within the organization and what you're doing within that specific role or the partnerships internally that you have, right? But we're hybrid. We have opportunities that are obviously few that are remote, and a lot of these opportunities came to fruition based off of what we had to go through, and that piece was change, right? Is there any questions regarding the isms or the philosophies that you've heard here so far? And a pause here. I'll take that silence again as everything is. I'm sorry.
There was one that came in, the dog food.
Yeah. So really quick, right? So at lunchtime, realistically, we sit around and we all try just different types of dog food. No, I'm just joking. Just a joke, just a joke. We eat our own dog food. What that basically means to us as an organization is we will never ask our clients, the consumer, to try something that we haven't already vetted ourselves, right? So if you go back to that a couple of slides ago when I showed you Rocket Money, when we first acquired Rocket Money, which was formerly known as Truebill, we rolled it out to the entire organization. So every team member within Rocket Companies had the opportunity to get involved, be a part of that particular application. And we vetted it out before we then in turn broadcasted that out to all of you, the consumer, right? So that's basically what we eat our own dog food really means. We vet things out and we get a chance to really see if there's anything that we can solve before we push it out to the consumer. Any other questions on these philosophies? Perfect. I'll take that pause. Keep it moving. So when you think about some of our missions as an organization, obviously, yes, we are a profit-based company, but we do a lot of things that are that for not for profit or for more than just profit, right? And here's a few things as far as our vision, right? Built for Zero, really supporting the initiative and really trying to end veteran homelessness by partnering with different community solutions is a huge one for us. For a lot of you sports fans that are out there, I'll jump down to the bottom one here, the Rocket Mortgage Classic. For us is a huge based event because it brings a lot of individuals to the city of Detroit, to one of the fantastic eye-catching golf facilities in the country that a lot of people don't even know about, right? We've done and sponsored this event for a couple of years now. And when you really think about this golf tournament, it's able to help support and drive the community that we're involved in, right? One of our other cool missions that we have as far as when we have brick and mortars in different states throughout the country, like I mentioned earlier to you, is what are we doing to give back to the community and to the areas that we live, work, and play in, right? And the Rocket Mortgage Classic is a huge one, right? And like I said, I know that you guys can all read, so those are two that I definitely wanted to make sure I touched base on. And then there's another one called Rocket Mortgage Demo Day. This is our version of Shark Tank, right? Where individuals can come with a business plan. They can come into our location, or we used to pre-pandemic, the city of Detroit, we would shut down an area of it. They put a big tent up, and it was you had a level of our C-suite executives and individuals that had a business plan would pitch their business ideas. And there was a winner, right? They would get questions, very similar like you see on Shark Tank. And some of those other organizations that fall outside of that portfolio of RKT are Rocket Company-based organizations that we've actually funded. And a lot of those are housed in the city of Detroit. So it's another cool way of just giving back and showing that we're in it for not only our clients, but the communities that we work with and play in.
Eric, there was a question that came through the chat. So the question, I'm 45, getting an accounting degree after 16 years of management.
Yeah.
How are the vision on the older work crowd? I volunteered at the Rocket Mortgage Classic last year. It was a fantastic event, and that was from Katie.
So I will be Katie, I'm 47. So we're right in the same wheelhouse, right? It's one of those things that as an organization, we don't look at the age of the individual. What do you have to offer to a client that we're able to help? What is your skill set? Are you still an individual that is curious, that is an entrepreneur mindset, that is willing to still put in the work and activity to learn and grow, right? Those are the things that we look at as far as skills, ability, and if you're really able to help the client. So when you think about age, I know you probably all heard this before, but age is just a number, right? And that's one of those things that we don't even look at. We look at the skill set and are you able, based off of your skills, match an opportunity that we have, and then how can that skill set that you have, one, enhance our culture, not build it, but enhance it, and then be able to help our clients too as well. Hopefully I was able to answer that question for you. Any other questions? Fantastic.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing as of now.
Thank you, RJ. So when you think about some of just the other perks, and I know a few of you had a chance to kind of look through this as I was explaining kind of some of the skill set and things that we look for. So when you're looking at opportunities, Rock Health Collective, we have our own on-site, kind of like doctor's office. You can go get anything that you can get at a local drugstore, from Band-Aids to prescription medicine to ibuprofen, hand sanitizer, you name it. We have that on site for our team members. The whole goal of our organization is really just to make things very, very easy and simple, right? We've found, and I'm sure that a lot of you can attest, if it's difficult, I'm out. I don't have time, right? One thing that makes us all the same is that we all have 24 hours in a day, right? No one has 23, no one has 22, no one has 27. And what are you doing to benefit from that 24 hours? And making things efficient as far as having healthcare on site for our team members is a fantastic thing, right? Personal significant days. Hey, a couple of them are named there. I always go to the birthday one. If you feel that your birthday is a holiday, which it should be, right? You can put that in. It doesn't count against your PTO. Volunteer time. Those are things that we actually give. We give volunteer time to each and every team member that comes and starts with us from the day that they start. If they're interested in something and volunteering back in the community, there is really no back and forth with you and your leader. It's like, hey, this is important. This is something I want to do. I want to use my volunteer time. Cool, done. No questions really asked. So these are some very, very cool things. And one more that I want to talk about is Team Member Resource Network. We actually have 13 volunteer team member resource networks. For instance, we have a very large veteran population that works with us, right? So there's a team or TMRN specifically for our veterans, right? What that does for an individual, think about like your first day, and I'm going to have you guys go back a little bit. First day of maybe even like high school, middle school, college. It's the new kid, right? You want to find a commonality with someone. And that's why we created that, because it gives you a voice. It gives you an opportunity to speak with individuals with the same likeness, same traits or hobbies or mindset that maybe you have, or in the same type of responsibility wise that you have. It just gives a chance for you to feel comfortable and bring your all-inclusive self to our opportunities, as well as our organization, right? Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk 2 more slides, and then we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes of this thing, right? So when you think about Rocket Companies, just from an opportunity standpoint, we will hire at this year right around 700 interns, and that's an all year round process. Internships for us, they start mid-May and they roll right into about mid-August, so they're 12 to 14 weeks. There's a little bit of flexibility in there, but we look from anything from sales to technology to marketing to data analytics to software engineering to product strategy to HR to accounting. You name it, we have an opportunity. Remember, there's 16 organizations that fall underneath that brand naming, right? Those opportunities will be in either the city of Cleveland, Phoenix, Arizona, or Detroit, Michigan. Right? We may actually even sprinkle a few into Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as into Canada. But for the most part, those 3 locations, Detroit, Cleveland, and Phoenix, will be a lot where our internships are, right? Our internships are very competitive. They are all paid. That pay really has a little bit of a range based off of years of experience. Also, as far as year that you are maybe in school and those type of things as well. So keep that in mind. I will share hopefully a few links here after I get done sharing my screen. Okay. Outside of just internships, we also have full-time opportunities, right? So you're looking at just a few of them on the screen: sales, technology, marketing, UX design, human resources, business support. It's really all across the board. And the cool thing is when you apply to us as an organization, you've applied to you applied to more than just one organization. The recruiter that hopefully gets that resume and gets a chance to look over your background, that brand that you've created for yourself, right? They will have an opportunity to hear what you're passionate about, what you're looking for, and then from there, they'll help make that decisions to put you in the best overall match for you to where you can, one, utilize your skill set and then grow. Okay. Any questions, and I'll pause. I'll wait a few minutes. All right. So let's dive into this. So we talked about our organization and kind of gave you a little bit of a background and let you get a chance to see how we brand RKT and Rocket companies, right? So now let's talk about us, right? That personal brand and how to use it, right? So we're going to focus on how to build a brand and then how to network a little bit, right? The things that you're going to see from this period moving forward to the end of the presentation, it is not rocket science. This is all things that you've heard before, right? But it's just got a little bit of a simplistic twist on it and just things for you to think about. So when you think about personal brand, can I get a volunteer possibly to come off mute and read this for me?
I'll do it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Personal brand, the practice of people marketing themselves and their careers as brands. While previous self-help management techniques were about self-improvement, personal branding concept suggests that success comes from self-packaging.
That's 100% it, right? And the part that I like the most about this definition, right, is comes from self-packaging. What that means to me means that sometimes you're going to be playing for the name on the front. And for a lot of you, I'm going to show you the shirt I have on, right? Rocket Company. But also the name on the back, which is your own, right? And think about your personal brand. That brand is the brand that gets there before you do, right? It could be how you formulate your resume, what you do on social media, who's in your network, how you interact with those individuals in your network, and what they think about you, right? Think about that first impression. That's everything, right? And when I say that's everything, I mean that in a weird way. Yes, you can overcome certain things, but when you walk in the door, when a person sees you on video, when a person hears something that you say, they start to correlate past experiences to you, right? And they put you in a bucket, right? Which is fair sometimes, and sometimes it's very unfair, right? So your brand, which is not a lot of times as I'm pointing to my face here in my mouth, is not lip service. It's actually the actions that you're putting in, and it's the brand that you're trying to lead. Okay. So when you think about that brand, right, there's a few logos that you see here on the screen, right? Let's start with this first one. It looks like looks like maybe some scribbly writing here or cursive writing, and it looks like maybe an O. Can anyone come off mute or actually throw it in the chat? And RJ, I'll have you kind of look at that for me. What do you guys think whose brand is this right here?
Oprah.
That's it, right? You got it. It is Miss Oprah Winfrey, right? And what is Oprah known for? You get a car. You get a car. Everybody gets a car, right? Her brand was created based off of hard work that she put in. There's a new movie that's out. It's called The Color Purple, right? That was one of the first movies that Oprah was ever a part of, right? That was a couple years back. There's a new movie that's out that they remade the old version. And guess who's one of the producers of that movie? It's Oprah Winfrey. Oprah's brand is so strong. She has her own network. Depending on your service provider when it comes to cable, right? Or streaming. She has her own network, right? That's pretty amazing for any individual, right? But it's self-made. It wasn't about lip service. It was about the actions. What about this middle one that we're talking about? Looks like a person's holding a ball or something. They're jumping in the air. Who is that? Anyone?
Jordan.
That's it. That's it. Mr. Michael Jordan, right? So when you think about that brand, right? Just like I was mentioning earlier when I was talking about our logo and we're trying to match that Nike logo, he was the first Nike athlete to have his own brand and own his own brand, right? Now there's been a couple that have come after him, but he was the kind of that trendsetter, right? Would you guys say that he has a positive brand or a negative brand? I guess it depends on if you like basketball or tennis shoes or athletic wear, right? Or his ownership abilities. Uh-oh, is somebody coming off mute?
That was probably me laughing at that, but as a Nick fan, yeah, that very humorous.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I
Sorry.
don't want to. This probably looks very familiar than if I'm talking about Michael Jordan, right? You come from Matumbo, right? So think about, or Patrick Ewing, excuse me, right? So think about that Jordan symbol, that Jordan brand, right? Very strong, known worldwide, right? Let's talk about this third one. It looks like a half-eaten apple. Who is that, and who does that represent? Anyone?
Steve Jobs, Apple.
That's it. There you go. Bingo. Right? There's probably a lot of us out there that oh, I'm gonna see in the chat someone put in there. Thank you very much for writing that, right? Mr. Steve Jobs, he changed how we listen to music. He changed how our cell phones kind of work, almost like mini computers, right? And he's kind of these three individuals really made their footprint based off of a logo now, to where you don't even have to see or know their names. It's basic their logos. So let's talk about how we can create our own personal logo, right? Not necessarily logo, but create that brand, right? That taps into a few things. So, why is the brand important? And this is a question that I want you to think about the entire rest of this presentation. And is there a couple brave souls that want to come off mute and tell me, why is your brand important? And we already touched base. I actually gave you some notes to the quiz.
Well, for me, personal brand's important because it's my name behind the product that I'm selling. It's my reputation. It's everything
Absolutely.
it's everything that's me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Anyone else?
Authenticity.
Authenticity. Yes, absolutely. Authenticity. You got it. What else? Why is your brand important?
It's how others see you.
That's it. Bingo. So thank you guys for those that were able to come off mute and participate. It's how others see you. And sometimes, I'm sure you've heard this before, perception becomes reality, right? A person perceives you a certain way, they start to believe that that's true, right? And hopefully, by creating this positive brand that we're going to talk about, we can put the actions versus the words. So, another food for thought question. What is your personal brand? And I'm not going to ask anybody per se, just yet anyway. But think about what people may think about you, right? I'll give you a few examples for myself. Some people call me OG, right? Just because I've been around a long time. 17 years in our organization is a very long time, right? So I know a little bit about a lot of different things when it comes to Rocket and all of our organizations, right? So I'm kind of like that human thesaurus when it comes to Rocket companies. But think about what this means to you. What is your brand to others, right? So I have a few questions that we're gonna get some participation back and forth. I know we got about 20 minutes, so I want to kind of make this efficient. Not going to go through all of these, but is there a brave soul or one or two that'll come off mute? And what makes people think of you? What makes people think of you? Anyone? So people don't think anything about anyone that's on this call right now. I find that hard to believe.
For me, I've built my name on reliability,
Thank you, Chris.
getting things done the right way.
Right.
I grew up in the military. I was a crew chief on helicopters, so when I put my name on the aircraft, that meant that the aircraft was 100% ready to go every time that that pilot got in that aircraft to go fly a mission. And
Absolutely.
that's what I've built my name off of for the last 20 years.
So loyalty, a go-getter, a person that's going to be an executor, right? Right? Or a person that executes and sees missions and goals from beginning to end of the process. So thank you again, Chris, for jumping in and letting your voice be known. So I appreciate that. Anyone else? What makes people think of you?
In the chat, Katie said, I'm known to follow through at work. When people have issues, they know I will figure it out.
Appreciate you, Chris, and you, Katie, for diving in and chiming in. You're exactly it. That's part of building your brand. So now your brand is those specific words that you just named. Another question. What value do you add? What value do you add? For myself, I'll start. I'm a historian, right? I've been here for 17 years. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. I've been through a lot of change. One of our biggest organizations we talked about already is Rocket Mortgage. I've been through that ups and downs as far as the ebbs and flows of rates going up, rates coming down. How does the organization kind of counteract a lot of those things, right? So I've had a chance to see some of those and fight through some of those. When I talked about the veteran program earlier, I actually created our veteran program a long time ago, right? There's another gentleman by the name of Don Wright who actually drives that thing for us now, and he's doing an excellent job. He's taking it to another level that I wasn't able to. He's a serviceman, right? He's a Marine, right? So he understands and has that commonality with some of those individuals that were either servicemen or women or dependents of servicemen and women, right? So he gets that. So when you think about the value, another question I want you to think about when we're creating this brand, what value do you add as an individual to anything you're a part of, right? So let's get into building this thing out. As I told you, this is very elementary. It's very simplistic. Step number one is brainstorm. What's your why? Does anybody want to come off mute and tell me what do I mean by what is your why?
What drives you?
That's
What is
it.
your passion?
What's your passion? What drives you? Right? I will challenge everyone on this call. If you don't know what your why is, I'm going to challenge you to figure that out. And why don't you know? Right? We talked a little bit earlier about all of us having 24 hours in a day, right? We also talked about making sure that you're trying to utilize to the best of your ability. Understand the reasons why you're doing certain things, the reasons why you're going to school at Western Governor, right? Why you're enrolled in classes, why you're on this call today. Time is everything, right? Understand the why. If you understand your goal and your why, these things called roadblocks and barriers are going to be out throughout your life. I'm sure a lot of us have already been through a lot of those. They're going to keep coming, but your why and understanding that will help you build a strong brand, and it will help you overcome a lot of those barriers that you have. Okay. Step two, create the brand, right? A lot of you answered some of those questions for me, right? As far as what motivates you, what gets people going. Understanding your why ties directly into creating the brand, right? What do you want to be known for? Since we're in a session talking about employment and I work for an organization, think about what can you bring to the table and how can you showcase that, which leads to number three, showcasing the brand. You understand your why. You create it, you're trying to create this positive brand, which sometimes, let's be honest, none of us are perfect, right? And the brand that you create, there could be some barriers around that, right? It could be what you post on social media. It could be how someone perceives you, right? It could be maybe things that have happened in the past and they didn't go as you planned, right? I'll give you a super quick example. True story. There was a gentleman who had an internship. He was working for a firm in New York City, and it was right around Halloween. And the day after Halloween, of all days, calls in and says, "Hey, I need to take the day off." His leader at that point says, "Okay, cool. Feel better. We'll see you the next day or when you start to feel well." As the day went by, that leader got an email. And in that email was a picture of the gentleman who actually called off from work. He had a wand in his hand, a very, very large drink, and a costume, a tutu, right? A green tutu. And it looks like he was having a really good time. There's a lot of people in the background. It looks like there was a party going on. What that leader did is sent a message to that intern and said, "Hey, I hope you're feeling better. Hopefully we see you tomorrow. By the way, nice wand. Enjoy the rest of your evening." What do you think the credibility or the brand of that particular individual, what happened, right? Probably wasn't so positive, right? So they couldn't with words say, "I'm sorry, I didn't feel well. I didn't want to tell you that I didn't feel great because of some things that I did maybe the night before." Instead, that person's going to have to pull themselves from behind the eight ball and replenish or rebuild that brand, which is very possible and very doable. People do it every day, right? But keep those things in mind when you're building your brand. You want your brand to be positive versus negative, more positive than negative, right? Now, you're talking about representing the brand. By show of hands, I would say, "Hey, everybody, raise your hand if you have a LinkedIn page." I'm going to assume, and you know what happens when you assume, but I'm going to assume and I'm going to hope that you all, thank you for raising your hand, Lisa. I can see that. Thank you for other individuals that are doing it now too as well. Every single individual on this call should have a LinkedIn page. LinkedIn is considered the professional brand, right? This is where you showcase your skills, your hobbies, you get endorsements from individuals. People can talk about your work and things that you've done for them. And it really showcases what you can bring to the table for an organization, right? Question for the group. How many of you who have other social media outlets, it's taken over the world, right? There's Pinterest, there's YouTube, there's um, Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's a ton of these things that are out there, right? If you were looking for employment, how many of you would, instead of posting a picture or saying your thoughts or opinions on something, how many of you would say, "Hey, I'm looking for either an internship or full-time based opportunity. My skill set is in sales, technology, marketing, accounting, whatever the case might be. If you have any connections, please direct message me." How many of you would do that? And maybe by showing show of hands or coming off mute or putting in the chat would do that. Or if I've ever thought about doing that. Fantastic. All right, but thank you. If you haven't thought about those things, why not? You're missing an opportunity to cast a very wide net to possibly help open a door or lay a foundation for you from a career standpoint. So keep that in mind when you're building your brand because you're doing a fantastic job of it, but that's a way to showcase it, right? And LinkedIn is that avenue, right? As well as some of those other social media avenues, okay? The hardest one for me is showtime, right? You got to live the brand, which means you got to do your best to be positive all the time. That's not real. That's not realistic. I'm here to tell you that's not a real thing, right? One of my biggest pet peeves, and this is where I said this one's tough. Let's say we're all driving and I let you get in front of me. Just wave, say thank you, thumbs up, honk the horn, flash your light, something. When people don't do that, I get instantly enraged. And I don't know why, right? I think it's just like common courtesy. Sometimes people are moving quick and I get it, things happen, right? But I've been known to tell people they're number one and not use this finger, right? So that's not me living or living that brand all the time, right? That positive brand. I'm telling you that to tell you that, hey, people are human. People make mistakes, things are going to happen, right? But do your best to do more positive through actions and less through words, because that will help build the brand a lot faster for you too as well. Okay. Any questions on building the brand?
Eric, there were a couple things that did come in. A couple of people had comments as far as being embarrassed to ask about jobs.
Why? And I mean, I'll stop you right there. I'm sorry, RJ. I didn't mean to
No, yeah,
cut
that's
you off.
perfect.
Why would you be embarrassed to help yourself? To me, that makes zero sense. Why? Why? In building the brand, the next piece that we're going to talk about on the next slide is going to be a big word. It's going to say networking, right? Sometimes I think as individuals, we have to get out of our own way, right? You have to get in the standpoint and process of how can I make the uncomfortable comfortable? And part of that is getting out of your own way. Stop holding yourself back to improve a situation for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, for your peers, for your coworkers, right? Individuals that mean something to the people that are in your circle. Don't be embarrassed. What's the worst thing that could happen? They say no, no thanks, or you put it out there, nobody responds. No big deal. No, nothing lost, right? But think about, and I'll go back to the Michael Jordan reference. How many shots that if you don't take them, you don't make them, right? So try your best to push yourself to learn something new, to get yourself out of your comfort zone. When people find this comfortability, it's tough for them to grow. And you should always be trying to grow. And I know that sounds like a help book or be better type of individual type of analogy there, but it's true. You're either getting better or you are getting worse. No individual is the same every single day. Either you had a better day today than you did yesterday, and hopefully you have a better day tomorrow. But that's the mindset that you have to change. Once you remove that barrier that helps you get to your why that we talked about, then you'll start to see a lot of growth happen for yourself. Okay. RJ, I know there was something else that you were mentioning there too as well. And respectful for time, I know we have about 7 minutes.
No, so you answered it. So that's perfect.
Fantastic. Remove that barrier, folks. The sooner you can start to challenge yourself to think differently, to learn something different or something new, and get past the fear, you'll be in a much, much better situation, especially when you're talking about building a brand and then using that brand to then tie into this right here. And that's networking. Networking 101 is probably one of the toughest things to do, but it's probably one of the most beneficial. And I'm going to give you a quick example before I show you the next slide. Myself, since I graduated college, I've had 2 jobs, right? I got both those 2 opportunities based off of people that I knew, based off of people that I met. Not once did I go to a career fair when I was in college. Not once did I go or attend a networking based event like you all are, right? I got my first career out of college. I was at a sporting event and I met this guy and we hit it off. We started talking, just talking about the game we were watching. And by the end of our conversation, he goes, "Hey, I'm going to come down and I want to interview you." I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay. What do you do?" So he filled me in, told me a little bit about what he did. He literally came down the next day. When I say down, to Bowling Green State University, where I went to school. And after that hour of talking and interviewing and me showing my resume and us just building a little bit more of a relationship, he hired me on the spot. I worked at this organization for 6.5 years. And just like in the movies on a Friday at 4:30, a leader walked into a room of 30 of us and said, "Hey, we are going to be canceling or getting rid of the specific role that you're in, but we have new roles for everybody." For those of you that are familiar with the state of Michigan, I lived way over here in Jackson, Michigan, and I worked way over here in a suburb of Detroit called Livonia. And the opportunity they had for me was way up here in an area called Pontiac, Michigan. It was literally going to take me about 2.5 hours to drive one way. I said, "Thanks, but no thanks." I took the buyout and then I freaked out, right? Because I had a family I was trying to support. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? So what I did is I started to look through some of my contacts. And there's a young lady that I knew that worked with me. And she worked for this company called Rock Financial that became Quicken Loans, that became Rocket Mortgage, and is now known to you all as Rocket Companies. And I said, hey, I'm looking for a career opportunity. Just wanted to reach out to you. One, check in, see how you're doing, and two, see if you had any maybe avenues for me to maybe find something. She said, Eric, guess what? We're looking for a recruiter. I said, fantastic, sign me up. Right? We had a chance to talk a little bit. I sent her my resume there on the spot during our conversation. She said, hey, are you free to come in for an interview next week? I said, absolutely. So I drove in. I drove into the suburb back there in Livonia. And I sat down and talked with her for an hour, and I went and talked to a leader and got hired on the spot. So those two examples of me networking and knowing individuals, which landed me two opportunities and one that I'm still in, right? So when you think about your network is your net worth. And I'm going to repeat that. Your network is your net worth, right? Who's in your circle? How well do you know the people that you currently work with, people that you go to school with, people that you have class with, your professors, your advisors, RJ, right? How well do you know these individuals that have connections that can help further you in your career path or your career search? You've already created a brand. Now network that brand, right? Use your context to help you achieve what you're looking to achieve and understanding that why. So when you think about you, I put you in the middle on purpose. We talked about social, right? Using social outlets, LinkedIn, your volunteer groups, your community service, letting people know what your goals are. You never know who might know someone that can help you. We talked about work, team member resource networks, your leaders, your mentors, associates that you have, customers that maybe you have. Why not pick their brain? They may have an avenue to open a door for you. Personal friends, right? Significant others. I left school for last, and I left that on purpose, right? You all work at Western Governors University in a capacity where you're working. Maybe some of you are just going to school, you're working, you have other things, you're juggling family and responsibilities. But when you're talking about the university you're a part, connecting with individuals like RJ, right? Connecting with advisors, connecting with your classmates, maybe finding out avenues and letting them know your goals, letting them understand your brand. That is networking that can lead to the same result that mine led to. And that was finding an opportunity where you're going to be able to have growth. Okay. Very, very simple stuff, but you got to get out of your own way. I'll go back to that. It's so important. You have to get out of your own way to be successful, right? And it's tough, but it's doable. It is very, very doable. Okay. That's all I have. I know a few people jumped into the chat late. If you are not using your cell phone, or jumped into the room late, if you're not using your cell phone currently, there's a QR code right in the corner here of the presentation. There's a few questions for you to fill out. Like I mentioned, it will tie you back. It will create a profile. It will send you alerts to different opportunities that us, Rocket Company as an organization, has that we might be able to offer to you. So keep those things in mind. I'll leave that there for a few minutes too as well. And RJ, thank you for putting that into the chat too as well. There's a link that'll take you to the same spot that this QR code will. Okay. Being respectful for your time. I know it's 6. We've had a chance to chat for about an hour. I'm going to stop sharing really quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my personal information in here. I'm going to put my email. And I'm also going to put my LinkedIn in here too as well, just in case there's some individuals that want to connect with me on LinkedIn. I can answer questions about our organization. I can answer questions on what the interview process kind of looks like and what you should do. But I'll say this before we jump off the call here today. If you go to our careers website, which I'm actually going to add to our to the chat here too as well. So I got my LinkedIn here. Just put that, and I'm also going to put Rocket Companies website. This is the holy grail for everything. Our culture that we talked about, all of our family of organizations, our open positions, all that stuff is there. So you have my email, my LinkedIn, and Rocket Companies. If you see an opportunity, I will tell you, do not wait. Do not hesitate to apply. If you especially see something that you're like, ooh, I could do that. I would rather you apply, ask questions later than ask questions, go back to the site, and that position be gone. Our career site works live in real time. So please, please, please keep that in mind. RJ, thank you for having me. Thank you for having Rocket Companies. And thank you all for who all joined today too as well.
Eric, thank you so much for jumping in and presenting on a fantastic topic. And everybody could take something away from this, especially with the personal branding. Like that's such a key component when you are going through your career. So thank you for jumping in and presenting on that. Just a reminder to everybody, this session was recorded and that will be sent out tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. But again, Eric, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And then thank you everybody for jumping into the session, and hopefully you got some great information to take and apply moving forward. But from here, thank you everyone, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks everybody.